Yeah, this is being live streamed.
Awesome. Okay, here we go. Um, just kind of let it sit here for a minute. And I'm going to drop the link into my group here. Cine kit list. Still learning exactly how this works, but okay. You guys ready to go?
Yep.
Ready to
Okay,
go.
so all right, everybody, welcome to our little experiment, live webinar with me and my friends over at Creamsource. I'm Travis Weirs. I'm a DP and gaffer based in Kansas City. I'm also the creator of Cine Kit List, which is a free to join community for owner ops and film and TV professionals. We're here today to talk about Slyyd, the new lighting control app for iOS built by Creamsource. And I've got my friends Richard and Jesse here with me to talk through it. Can you guys just introduce yourselves and tell us a little bit about your roles at Creamsource?
Sure, Travis. Thanks for having us today. My name is Richard. Thanks for the introduction. I come from a lighting background. I was a gaffer for a number of years in the New York City metro area. And along the way, I developed a lighting control application. Slyyd is part of the Creamsource family of products now. And we're excited to be out and live. Jesse.
Yeah, I'm Jesse Skog. I worked with Rich for about 6 years on set, also in New York, as an electric DMX tech. Yeah, and he brought me on. I've been interfacing kind of with users, getting and communicating like the needs, like what the app actually needs to do from having a background on set, and communicating that to the developers. So when we're making it. Yeah, they understand the film world, which is a little bit different than the app making world.
So you guys both have a background in on-set production. How do you think that helps your roles over at Creamsource?
Well, Creamsource has a passion for making products that are very practical and that appeal to actual use cases. People who get used to using Creamsource fixtures really get kind of addicted to this. Um, I was a Creamsource customer before I worked here,
Mm.
and owned a number of Vortex fixtures long before I joined the team. Um, it's so valuable. It's very hard to make a lighting control application unless you've done lighting control before. When you live on a set, or even if you're not on a set, if you live in actual lighting conditions, you develop an instinct for what it is that you want to do with your fixtures and what it is that you want to do with your lighting. We built Slyyd very much about trying to model the desired outcome. So this is less about how Slyyd is all about solving the problem, figuring out how to get you the results that you want, and giving you tools to describe those results as authentically as possible. Jesse, you want to add?
Uh, no, yeah, I think you covered it. Yeah, it definitely helps. Like I did not come from the app world. I'm a member of Local 52. Very proud of that. But yeah, that background is pretty much the reason that I am here. I think that we had something maybe a little unique. We really kind of prioritized communication on set, and that's a big part of why we kind of made this, especially when it comes to color, because communicating color on set over a walkie, there are ways to do it, but it gets a little tricky when you're using stuff like XY, but we'll get into that in a little bit.
Okay, yeah, sounds good. So there's a lot of lighting control options already on the market. Why invest the time, energy, money, the resources into creating another one, a new one?
So we wanted to create a lighting control application that was all about the lighting outcome. And there are a lot of great tools out there that are about how to achieve that outcome that give you very sort of low level specific control over what every DMX value, what every control stream, what every little detail is. And we wanted to kind of go the other direction, create a tool that's more about the design. Um, and certainly anything that we do to Slyyd going forward is going to be about that is modeling what a user wants to make.
Talk us through a little bit of the timeline. How long have you been working on this?
Hmm. So that's a long story. Yeah, I think the first time I ever did any kind of lighting control application, I wrote it all myself. It ran on a Dell Axim X51V, and it was written in one of the very early versions of C# and .NET. .NET, the mobile version of .NET. So this journey starts, I think, in 2007. So I
Wow.
had a little pocket computer, and I had a lighting console. It had a command line and faders and a touchscreen, and you had to use a stylus, and all this. And then back then we were really talking about just dimmers, right? So it was very rarely did you control something that was more than just a value. So this journey is very old, but even in those days, the very first couple projects that I was using that application, the power of being able to control from the side of the camera, from the video assist, from the middle of a rehearsal, and kind of tweak your values or create a look, set some design decisions, and then of course remember them. That the sort of seeds of that were planted then. That journey went through a startup called Lighticians. We built an application as Lighticians. That application became part of the Creamsource family and is now Slyyd. So sort of long, it's a long journey.
So it sounds like you had sort of the genesis of the idea. And then Jesse, when did you come along?
I came along, later. I worked for Rich on set, like, yeah, for 6 years, like I said, but I didn't start really. I mean, I used what he had because he would show it. He was very proud of it. So it would be on set and we would use his app where it was applicable. It was back then, it was not as functional. It wasn't as robust as it is now. But yeah, then about 3 years ago, he invited me to, yeah, work on this full time as he kind of focused on it as well when we came with the Creamsource. And yeah, so I've been here, yeah, about 3 years now.
And I
So
want to. There's one thing
go
I want to
ahead.
add. One thing I want to add to that is just that we were a very technical crew. We used a lot of sort of tech savvy tools. We were a crew with which heavily used Dropbox, and I mean we were a Dropbox based crew for a very long time. I mean, all 6 years, I think Jesse and I were working together on set. We were Dropbox the whole time with shared folders, shared storage. We also had our own Discord server. Jesse curated that, built it himself, and curated that, adminned it. And so we were a crew that had a passion for using new technology very early on. And I kind of recognized this in my crew, and that really inspired me to keep pushing forward with this. Had it not been for people like Jesse and his voice and making those things better, I don't think we'd be here with this application today.
Talk to me about what does that mean, a Dropbox crew?
No, I mean, we even had an onboarding document. Uh, the idea was we would create one centralized place of storage for every project that we did. So if we were doing something for Netflix or a feature film for Warner Brothers, there would be one repository for everything: lighting plots, equipment lists, drop packages, reference photos if we were doing something, particular detailed scouting. I mean, at one point we actually had an Asana based scouting and rigging task list that we did because we recognize that there's lots of details when it comes to lighting design. And if you get those details, if you get them all right, there's a big win when you get there on set and things kind of just work. So we wanted to organize it in a certain way that we could be productive, and that we found was distributing information was one of the biggest ways to solve that problem.
Yeah, so for those who aren't as familiar with the normal grip and electric protocol, like how is what you're describing different from, what you went up seeing?
Yeah, I mean, I still love working this way too. I mean, it was a lot of sketches on the back of napkins, or sketches on the back of a call sheet. That was a common one. Grab the shooting schedule, the call sheet, flip it over, and just kind of draw things. That works too. What started to happen was we were running rigging, de-rigging, the shooting crew, the whoever was on the actual filming set. All of these things were happening in parallel, and that parallelization is what created a need for organizing and distributing information efficiently and without a lot of friction, right? Because if you've got little drawings, if somebody drives home with them, uh, can't really communicate that anymore. So we wanted to solve that, and that was how we built things like this.
What were some of the Jesse, you mentioned that the Slyyd is much more robust than it was in the early days. What were some of the early features that you were looking to build out when you created this?
Yeah, so originally the Lacticians version that we would use on set, I mean, you could set color and you could set intensity and stuff. I can't remember if you could save looks. It's been a while. So, yeah, I don't think so. So you could set like, your temporary values. But now our color engine has, especially with the addition of Marcus and stuff, our color engine has really grown as far as color matching across different fixtures. That wasn't really a thing with Lacticians. And then also now we have the ability to save looks. So you can create your lighting setup, save it, and then come back to it later and transition between it. And then also just the UI in general, we put a lot of care and focus into our user interface. Yeah, awful proud of that.
Yeah, so with that said, let's dive in. Can you show us a little bit about what this looks like?
Yeah, totally. So yeah, I have my setup here. Let me switch over to Slyyd. So yeah, this is Slyyd's running on an iPad right now. I'm in a project already. I have a project open. I have my fixtures here I'm on the scratch pad. This is kind of where I set temporary values. If I want to make some changes to an individual fixture, I can bring up some popover controls, make those if I just want a real quick, simple change. But if I need to do things more robust, if I need to select multiple fixtures, or if I need to select, for example, all of these fixtures up to there, I can open up the control panel, and here's where we
Mm.
have our bigger controls. Let me expand that, make that bigger. I can set some color. But to make it easier to understand, I also have open on my computer a visualization software because I don't have a lighting setup where I am. But I do have this virtual one. So this will help us see what I'm doing as I'm changing color here. One thing to mention, like I said earlier, that we put a lot of work into our color engine, and kind of what that means is even if you have your fixture patched like in an RGB mode, or especially if you have it patched in a XY mode, which we recommend, you're always going to get the same set of tools. You're going to get these same color controls. So even if you're in XY, like just plain XY, you're always going to have color temperature controls. So if I put saturation at 0, I can go up to color temperature and I can set my color temperature and get real specific about that, even if my profile doesn't have a color temperature, capability specifically on that. We virtualize that for you.
Yeah,
I
so
want
you
to
said use the term XY. Can you explain to everybody what that means?
Yes, I absolutely can. So XY, this is the CIE XY diagram right here. If you're unfamiliar, it is a kind of a scientific representation of all visible colors. So this horseshoe here, that is everything that the eye can theoretically see. And then within here, this is the color I've picked. So it's a pair of coordinates. So we have our x-axis and our y-axis, and these are the two numbers that represent this color that I've selected. It's a way of talking about color that unfortunately is really hard to communicate on set. So we tried using XY color on set before we had this Slyyd app. Rich and I did, and it's really great if you have the number and you need to plug that in because you know exactly what color you wanted ahead of time.
Mm.
But then let's say I wanted to, I wanted to change off of that. Like I have my starting point, like maybe I like this weird kind of teal green here, but I need it to be like a little more saturated. Like, well, that was tough to do with just a pair of numbers. Like, what numbers do I input now? But so this is kind of why we built like these tools. So now I can take this starting XY point and I can increase that saturation and I get a new XY value automatically. So it's doing that translation for me. Rich, I think you had wanted to chime in. Did you want to chime in now?
Yeah, I was just going to say that, XY has become a bit of a buzzword or a bit of a common thing now. Lighting manufacturers have gotten so good at producing color, and really only recently have fixtures gotten good enough that they can receive XY coordinates and guarantee, some brands do this better than others, but guarantee that those coordinates that are received are going to be produced by the fixture no matter what happens. So the fixture could warm up, the fixture's electrical characteristics can change, the emitters could be old. There are all these variables that if a fixture is really good at producing color, it can track those. And despite whatever's going on with the fixture's operating conditions, will always produce that set of XY coordinates. So there's a lot of value in being able to communicate to a fixture with just two numbers, right? So this doesn't even eat up a lot of address space. With two numbers, I can say to a fixture, give me this color and I'll get that color. Only thing is, working in XY is really cumbersome. It's very hard to say in XY, we'll add some red to it, or like Jesse just demonstrated, increase or decrease the saturation. These dimensions of control that are common in the language of talking about light and color don't exist in the XY space. So one of the things we wanted to do very early on was build a tool that could work, that could communicate in XY and work in XY, but without the kind of clunkiness and unfriendliness of XY. And so that's why you see this color picker. And in fact, this color picker is leading a triple life, which I'm sure Jesse will take us through in a few minutes. But there's one other thing I wanted to mention that goes on behind the scenes here. So Marcus Winkler, who's been our chief architect working alongside us, Marcus built an extremely powerful color engine on the backside of this. So it's one thing to arrive at a set of XY coordinates based on what color you want to make, but then it's a whole other set of math that has to be done and code that had to be written that would communicate those coordinates to a fixture that doesn't understand XY. So even if you have LED tape, let's say, if you're working with RGB, RGBA, RGB tape, Slyyd can communicate to that tape and get you a pretty close result to the XY that you intended. That's the pretty powerful set of tools that we can do that sort of device independently.
Wow, yeah, Jesse, do you want to show us some more features here?
Yeah, totally. Let me get into what Rich just mentioned about the triple life. So you've seen me selecting color on the XY diagram. And I just wanted to point out that, like all of that math that Rich just mentioned is really, cool and powerful, but you really just don't have to think about it. When you interact with Slyyd, all you have to do is you can tap on the diagram here, or you can punch in, use these sliders, or you can type in numbers as well, whatever you're most comfortable with. You don't need to know like the inner workings really to use it. And if this is even too complicated looking for you, you might be more familiar with like a color wheel. So you can switch to the color wheel. and select color in that fashion. But it's all tied together. It is the same color picker still. So when I switch back to the CIEXY diagram, we'll see that like I'm selecting the same color. It's just a different way of thinking about it. And there's one further way, which is swatches. So we have these are some swatches that I have saved previously. I selected a color and then I saved this so that I could apply it to other fixtures later. Or if you're more familiar with gels, we do have a full library of Roscoe gels that you can tap. That'll apply to the fixtures. But then again, you don't need to, you're not stuck using that gel. Then you can go back and then tweak off of that. If that's close, but you need to just make it a little less saturated, then you can tweak off of that starting point.
So it looks like your history of being super organized when it comes to communication and wanting all of your options right there in front of you to be able to reference has come in really handy as you built that out, because I can see you're taking those pieces from your history working on set and incorporating them into this lighting control app.
Yeah, totally. I would agree with that. It's I know what I want to know when I'm on set, and so we've tried to put, as much information here in front of you so you can be informed about your decisions. In addition to color, let me show a couple other things that Slyyd can do. Let me deselect. And let's select this guy. So you can also control if it's exposed in the profile, features that are not, color or intensity related. I can do some kind of meta stuff. The Vortex has control channel. I'm not going to get into the control channel here, but if you happen to know what it is, we do support that. So I can send control channel commands to my Vortex to turn on DMX smoothing, for example, if I want to turn that to smoothing, I can do that with Slyyd.
And
Um,
just to throw in a shameless thing is once you start working with a fixture that's got control channel, it's really hard to go back. Being able to do this kind of stuff from Slyyd and do this remotely is a huge time saver, especially when you want to achieve changing DMX smoothing to a number of fixtures. So for those of you who are purchasing a Vortex today, good on you. Try this, and you'll be hooked too.
Talk to us about control channel. What do you mean for people who don't know what that is?
all right, you opened the gates. All right, I'm happy to get into it. Okay, so I'll try to make it quick, but so regular DMX, as most of you, I'm assuming, are familiar, it's constantly sending out its information. If the fixture needs to be at 100% intensity, then in the DMX stream, it's constantly sending out 100 to that specific address. Well, if we were to use that regular DMX method to control all of these different settings, that means I would need an address for most of these. I think I counted it once. I think it was like 13 different addresses I would need to control all of these settings, and it would make your DMX profile like really fat. And since you're limited to, but with DMX to 512 addresses per universe, we want to be conscious that we're not making these huge profiles. So Creamsource introduced a concept called control channel, where instead of constantly sending out the value, the fixture is listening for when a signal changes, and there's a time on it so that you don't get errors. It's generally if a signal, or if a value is sent for 3 seconds. And as I change this, you'll see that it spins here for 3 seconds. So it's sending it for 3 seconds. At the end of that 3 seconds, a real vortex will flash green to say, hey, I've received that command and I heard it. Now, these virtual vortexes are not going to do that because it's too complex for it doesn't need to do that. But in the real world, that is how control. So it's a way to shove a whole bunch of different controls into a single DMX address.
Awesome. And did Creamsource before Slyyd came along, did Creamsource have a basic iOS Bluetooth control app for Vortex?
No, so that's pretty much the reason that we got together, is because there was a lot of demand for a Creamsource app for their fixtures. They didn't have one, but they didn't want to just be, the 12th app on your phone that only controls like a single brand of fixtures. They wanted to branch out a bit, so and support, everything, be a little more useful. So yeah, that's why Slyyd supports all fixtures and well, all fixtures that we have profiles for. Uh, and I guess I should mention that we do make our profiles. Let me show you the patching. If I go to setup and then DMX map. So here's my DMX map. These are all the fixtures I have patched. Um, and these are all selected. If I add a new one, they're selected from this list. So I have a bunch of different manufacturers and a bunch of different profiles. Now,
Hmm.
uh, I do want to mention that we make all of our profiles by hand. So Chi, who I believe is watching this, she makes our profiles. So we didn't just kind of, ingest some cloud library and then hope that it works. Like, no, we test our profiles, make them by hand to make sure that they actually work with our system, which does mean that we may not have absolutely everything you need, but we're friendly. So if you contact us either on Discord or on through our website, we will make profiles for you if we're missing something.
It's this is a big thing because we really take the time to test profiles that we make. We want to there's kind of no room for hope on a set when you're
Hmm.
when you're filming something. I think that this is whether you're doing episodic television, feature films, if you're doing something where you need to be really portable, right? You don't have time to hope that something's going to work. You got to know that it's going to work. So we test all of our profiles, and in fact, we also calibrate all the color. So all this wonderful color stuff that Jesse is showing you today, we do take the time to measure and close that loop, calibrate everything, so we know that if we recommend that a profile, use this profile, we're recommending it because we know that it works. We've tested and calibrated against known standards. There's one other. Well, I guess Jesse, I'll let you go through. I'll let you keep going. We'll come back around to profiles later.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, this is the DMX map. I think I've showed. I'm not sure if we want to actually need to show patching, but I guess I can real quick. If I wanted to add a new fixture, I just go to a manufacturer that I am interested in, tap a profile, and I do like that I can actually add a whole bunch of different profiles at the same time. I'm not limited to just adding one type. So now that I have the list of profiles that I'm going to patch, I'm going to choose, I can change names, I can customize all of that, icons. But just real quick, I'm going to do a multi-patch, and let's see if I have room in this universe. Oh, it looks like I do.
Yeah, it's a
Uh,
pretty full project, but yeah, you do.
yeah, it looks like
Amazing.
I have just enough room right at the bottom. Uh, Patch those, and that's going to stick those in there, and then press commit. Yeah, now those are at the bottom of my list here, which I can make a little bit smaller. Okay, there we go. Yeah, now I see those new fixtures. Yeah, what else were you gonna say about profiles,
Yeah,
Rich?
maybe I'll just drop it in right now. So we have a Discord server, and we
Hmm.
highly encourage anyone who's joined us today to join the Discord server. That's a place to ask for profiles, but it's also a great place to ask, questions about Slyyd, questions about how a particular fixture works with Slyyd. More often than not, if there's a profile that we don't have or something that you need from us, we could send you a profile file. So if there's something new on the market or something that we haven't seen before, sometimes that's a great way that we'll work with you. And we've already done this a few times where I think the Aperture ADC was a fixture that we worked with a customer to get good compatibility. Even before we had seen a fixture, we had a profile in beta that we shared that way. So join the Discord. Great way to engage with us.
Yeah, for anyone who's watching this after the fact, I'll put a link to the Creamsource Discord in the show notes. So back to, you know, this functioning as both a basic app for Creamsource and as a lighting control app for all sorts of other manufacturers. I know that there's a subscription option in Slyyd. Can you guys break down the difference between the free to use version and the subscription version? What do I get if it's free to use? What do I get if I sign up for the monthly?
Totally. Yeah, I can take that one. So for the free to use version, you can patch up to three fixtures and have those be active. You can use it, and that'll change. Those three fixtures will be free forever. You only get one connection, which is kind of equivalent to one universe of fixtures. And also, in something that we haven't talked about yet, you can only have one look on at a time, which maybe I will take a real quick detour to talk about looks so that we can have a bit of, so we can know what that is. First, I need to clear all the messing around I've done on here. So I need to clear those changes that I've made. And if I go over to lookbook, so that's this icon there. These are just sets of fixtures sets of color and intensity values and fixtures that I have saved. So my random colors look is on. If I switch that to my 4000 Kelvin look, then you'll see I get a transition in between those two things. I also have in the back here, there's a bunch of micros. If I turn that on, that looks that. I have some pictures here, some cover photos to remind me of what each thing is, and they're quite literal at the moment, the ones that I took. Yeah, and so this is a way to transition between different things that I have saved. Now, back to the original question, if I'm on Go, then I only have the three fixtures and I can't turn on this toggle. So this multi-look toggle is off, which means I can only have one look on at a time. So if I turn on one look, it's going to automatically turn off the other one.
Yeah, makes sense. And then what is there's another term you used earlier and in this, which was universe, one universe. What is a universe when it comes to wireless lighting control?
Yeah, fantastic. That's a great question. Since this is all based on DMX, which is a really old, it's quite an old technology at this point, but it still works well. It's robust and everything supports it. Uh, so a single universe used to be because DMX was a physical cable, and it still technically is and can be. But each cable was designed to carry 512 addresses. So if I go to my DMX map, so this is one universe right here that we're looking at. See the numbers here go from one all the way down to 512 at the end. Now, fixtures used to be just dimmers. And so a dimmer, I think I have one patched somewhere. Yeah, it's right here. That's just one address. So back in the day, you could patch 512 lights. But now
Mm.
that fixtures are more complicated, we've taken that DMX protocol and then just added more uh, uh, addresses to it. So now one fixture here, like this Felix G6 color, takes up this many addresses. So they've gotten quite fat. Slyyd supports for the free version, you get the one universe with three fixtures. For the paid subscription, you get two universes worth of output. You can use the whole thing, however many fixtures you can fit in there, and you can have two universes, which we have set up in what we call connections. So I have my one connection I have created here. If I make another one real quick, then that will show up back in the DMX map. If I collapse that, then now I have a whole second universe worth of fixtures that I can patch.
Yeah, makes
Um,
sense. So talk to me about back in the day, a light might only have one address because all you're doing, it's a single color and all you're doing is increasing or decreasing the intensity. How many addresses does say like a Vortex 8 take up?
Yeah, great question. So a Vortex 8, I can give you the literal answer. So I have a Vortex 4, and they're using the same amount of channels now. We have the profile that we recommend. So you're going to see our recommended profiles first. Those are going to be 16-bit profiles, which do take up more addresses, but they're going to be, you get more steps in between. So there's more ranges. So if you're doing a slow fade, uh, what can sometimes happen if you're using 8-bit channel or addresses where each address is like you have one address for intensity, one for X, and one for Y. So that would be that controls your color because you only need those two. When you're using an XY profile, you only need two addresses to control color. But the color change might look a little steppy. And I know I'm kind of rushing through this, but the gist of it is that we recommend the 16-bit profiles. So then you get two addresses for X and two addresses for Y and two addresses for intensity. And then we have our one address for control channel, which is down here, which generally makes up this profile. Um, if you don't have space, if you need to cram more stuff in here, then feel free use the 8-bit profiles. I believe that's it, Rich. Did I miss anything there?
No, I was just going to say that the 8-bit profiles sometimes, if you really have that many fixtures, and we hope you do, if you really have that many fixtures, the 8-bit profiles can work really well if you enable smoothing. So smoothing is sometimes a little bit of a get out of steppy jail free card. And this is again why the control channel becomes so valuable, because you can enable that without having to go find the fixture in your rig and push buttons. um,
Yeah, so we're talking a little bit about cues here, basically setting up what is a lighting cue? Actually, I'll ask a question. What is a lighting cue? And can you walk us through how you might cue something up on Slyyd so that you don't have to have an electric on a ladder with his hand on the knob?
Yeah, sure. Let me go back to Lookbook. So I briefly touched on this earlier, but this is pretty much how you would right now do a queue between if you have a certain look and then an event happens, like let's say an actor, presses a button on set. Then at that moment, a real easy way to do it in Slyyd is I've set some timing values on this look here. So this is 2 seconds in and 2 seconds out. I have multi-look off, so I'm just going to automatically toggle. But when at that moment where the actor presses the button, I would just hit this, and I get a nice transition between this rainbow look and this warm look. I don't know why an actor on set would trigger that. Perhaps they're in a front of a giant wall of micros, but yeah, you get the general idea. This is how I would transition from one thing to the next. Now we've heard because we work in kind of a non-linear fashion. A lot of other applications and consoles, there traditionally it is a linear thing. You're going from one queue to the next queue to the next queue. You're building your linear set because this is what happens in this order all the time. Now with looks, they work a little bit differently because you're not forced to that. I can turn on any queue or any look that I want in any order, and I can also have them on at the same time if I want. Now, when I do that, all of their colors are going to mix together, and I'm going to get some kind of in-between state. Perhaps not what I want. This is a little more useful for transitions, but I'm free to do that. Whereas in other consoles, it's really one queue to the next queue to the next. Now we've heard demand that people want a way to do uh, a linear queue thing, and we're listening. But yeah, for right now we have the lookbook. So if you do need to do a linear step of queues, then you can just queue your looks or turn on your looks in that order that you need.
So Slyyd, it sound with the nice thing about it being, software based. firmware-based control rather than, a physical unit is you can continue updating it, changing it, adding features. You don't have to worry about accommodating a specific physical device. So I want you each to tell me your favorite aspect, element, feature, whatever you want highlight of Slyyd where it's at, and then kind of tell me where we're headed next.
Oof, danger zone. You're asking me to be a leaky leader here.
Just give us some hints.
Cannot confirm or deny a lot of things. Um, one actually, there's one thing I want to respond to, Travis, that you bring up about updates. So we actually just did that. So version 1.1 is something that we just shipped
Oh wow.
last week. Version 1.1 went live, and one of the beautiful things about being in the App Store and on a mobile platform is that goes straight out to users. You don't have to think about, well, I got to download it, I got to install it on my
Mm,
console, I got to go.
mm.
It saves a lot of steps. We also, again, we rigorously test these things so that you're not going to lose your data. Your project files are going to be compatible forever. You can open them up and continue to use them. We're not introducing breaking changes like that. So we just had a successful version 1.1. So this is something we've already done. Over the summer, we did version 1.01, which was just a small bug fix. And along the way, let's not forget that Chi has been working really hard along the way, shipping profile updates,
Mm.
as we go. So these are, the app itself doesn't always need to be updated to have an update. The profile library goes along, follows suit. Okay. So back to your other question. So let me see if I understand this right. You favorite thing that Slyyd does today, or something I really like about Slyyd today and something that it might be doing in the future?
Yeah, could be anything. Could be feature, could be aesthetics, could be, you just tell me something that you're really proud of.
Hmm. Well, I really love the color picker.
Mm,
Um, there's a lot of math in there that I developed. There's a lot of really well written code in there that the team developed. There's a lot of really clever user experience that Jesse and our UI team developed. So I'm very, very proud of that. Um, and it's really fun to use. Like once you start to use the color picker, you kind of just think about the color that you want, and you sort of forget about how it's achieved. You really can interact with it. Um, I think I'm looking forward to where we're going with that. There's more to be developed there. There's more that we're working on there. Potentially some other color spaces that we're interested in, potentially some automation that we're interested in, and in particular, some other dimensions that we might introduce to what you can do on the color picker going forward. In particular, when you have more than one fixture picked, I'll just kind of leave it at that.
awesome. Jesse?
Yeah. Unfortunately, I'll get into a little more specifics, but I also agree with Rich as far as what I like. Yeah, the color picker, we put a lot of work into that. But more specifically, I really like it as, and we've received feedback that this could be really great as a teaching tool. There's some people that teach film classes and stuff, and
Mm,
as far as understanding color, because what we've worked, something I didn't mention yet is that this white line here on the CIEXY diagram, that is the gamut for the fixture that I've
mm.
selected. So within here, this is all the color that that fixture is able to reproduce, which is helpful if you stay within that, then you're selecting something that the fixture can reproduce, but just also how it, when I drag on here and I see that these sliders moving around, and I can kind of get an idea of what this means. Instead of it just being an abstract point there, I see how it relates to saturation and color temperature being, for example, like the Planckian locus here as I slide around. I see it's
Mm.
actually this curve. It's a really nice teaching tool. As far as what's new, I'll mention the thing that I don't think I'll get yelled at for talking about because it's already mostly coded. But we have received feedback that if I have a bunch of stuff selected,
Oh yeah.
Yeah. If I have a bunch of fixtures selected, uh, uh, we've put in a new gesture that'll be in another update, but you'll be able to tap and hold on that fixture, and it'll only select that fixture, and it'll deselect everything else.
Mm.
That was actually feedback from a user. They wanted that specifically, and we were like, you know what, that's a great idea. So we love getting feedback, and if it's we love getting that in the app.
Yeah, it's really important to get this in people's hands, right? Because as much as you guys can think of, you're still kind of coming at it from one angle. When you get this out in the hands of everybody on set, I'm sure you're getting some really interesting comments that sort of open the door to more possibilities.
Absolutely. I mean, that's really why we're here, is to make tools for all of you. So the more we hear from you as to what things you want us to, what problems you want us to solve, the better those solutions will be, and the more solutions we can offer. Um, there is actually one more thing.
Yeah,
The
tell
more
us.
tab. I'm pretty excited about what keeps showing up on the more tab. Um, we as we build bigger profiles, as we tackle some of these more complex fixtures, the more tab is sort of collecting some of those additional features that go beyond not even what not even what control channel does. Features that actually affect what you see the light, what the light actually does. And I'm very excited about what we have planned for how to make that even better. Some of these fixtures have lots of different things they could do.
Yeah.
That's what, and it's more. That's what's on the more.
That's amazing. So, we talked a lot about what this thing can do and where it's headed. Who do you think the primary user of Slyyd is? I mean, Creamsource services a lot of different types of customers. You guys are a super high-end fixture company, so obviously big studios, rental houses, um, owner operators like me. Like, who did you build this? Uh, for. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll take that. So the genesis of this is, of course, with the cine TV professional, somebody who's doing lighting for a living.
Mm.
They've been doing film style production, episodic production, someone with that sort of background. But we realized that there's a lot more people out there that want to do lighting. And so you can see in the tool that we built, we didn't build this with just with only a focus on the experienced professional language, although that's there, that there is that there, and we want to keep adding more of that. We wanted to make a tool that someone who wants to interact with lighting can pick up and use right away. So if you have a passion for lighting, even if maybe you're just getting started, if you are integrating lighting into the content that you make every day, this is a tool for you. And by all means, tell us what it doesn't do that you need it to do,
Mm.
and that's where we will go.
That's incredible. Is there anything else we want to go over that we didn't touch base on, guys?
Um, I'll mention them both briefly. There's just a couple things. One is that as far as connectivity goes, so if you have like a CRMX transmitter, if you have a Skycast or anything, Lumen Radio, Stardust, or whatever, Slyyd can connect to that. Uh, or if you have, your lighting network set up already, we can absolutely connect to that. If you don't have any of that stuff, Slyyd, you can still use Slyyd, especially if you have a Creamsource product like a Vortex, because you can use what is called a Lumen Radio BLE connection. I'm not going to get into all of it right now, but basically you can use a Bluetooth connection to connect Slyyd to a Vortex, and then use the Vortex as your CRMX transmitter. And I know that's a lot of acronyms, but it's a really nice, and it's a nice way to use Slyyd directly with your fixtures if you don't have that extra networking hardware available. And
Yeah,
then
that's really cool. If you're just kind of getting started and you only have a few fixtures, but you want to use Slyyd with your whole lighting portfolio and you don't know where to go when it comes to, what equipment to buy next to kind of expand beyond, you can kind of just get started using one of your vortexes. That's pretty neat.
Yeah, it's great. It's a great feature if you have a few Vortex and you have a few other fixtures. If you've got Vortex and a number of fixtures that are connected to it either by physical DMX over XLR or via CRMX, you do that first hop with BLE to your nearest vortex, and then you're able to talk to the rest of your setup. So it's a great way to bring a lot of fixtures very quickly into your network. There are some performance limitations with BLE, but if you only have a few fixtures, it works great, especially again with DMX smoothing on. That's a great way to put those things together.
That's incredible. All right, guys. Well, I want to wrap this up, keep it kind of short and sweet. I want to thank you both for your time explaining Slyyd today. Richard, Jesse, thank you guys for being with us. For everybody who's watching, hop on over to the Creamsource Discord channel if you want to ask some questions or make some suggestions. And if you want a little bit of a deal on Slyyd, get a little preview, get a little test of Slyyd without having to pay anything, hop into one of the Syndicate List channels. We have a free to join Facebook group. Just search Syndicate List on Facebook. You'll find it. I'll let you in. Thanks, guys, so much for being here today. Really appreciate what you offer and bring to the community.
thanks for
Thank you,
having us.
Travis. Thanks for having us today.